courtesy of JP Morosi. Noah Syndergaard and the Angels have made progress on a one-year deal, source says. Although final term of contract is unclear, situation's fluid ahead of tomorrow's qualifying offer acceptance deadline. Boy, there's a lot to dive in on here. This is interesting. Let's go right to Joel Sherman. Joel, your take after getting this news. What we were talking in the commercial, Harold and I, about, you know, if Syndergaard says no to the qualifying offer, 18 and change, and it's a one-year deal in Anaheim, it's got to be for more than 18, which actually doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a little disconnect here. What do you think?
Well, I don't know why it wouldn't make sense. I think he's going to – I'm pretty positive he's signing a one-year deal to reestablish his value. He's only pitched 2 innings in 2 years after Tommy John surgery. He wasn't even throwing his breaking ball for the Mets in those 2 one-inning outings late in the season. The Angels, if it's the Angels, would clearly be betting on age and upside. He pitches at 29 next year. He is extraordinarily talented. He keeps himself in great shape. The Angels are probably trying to give themselves a puncher's chance next year. You know, what if Syndergaard's right and Ohtani does this again? And I still think they'll be in for at least one other established starting pitcher. People like Patrick Sandoval pitched well late in the year. They found out some stuff about him in the rotation. So the qualifying offers, players have to decide by late tomorrow afternoon, $18.4 million. So if he's accepting a one-year deal, and again, I've been led strongly to believe that Syndergaard's plan is to accept a one-year deal, I would assume this is for 1 year at minimum at 18.4. Again, we'll see. Maybe he hated the Mets. That's what will come out, and he's accepting less. But I think there's a marketplace for this.
There's a lot of money. That makes a lot of sense would be he didn't want to pitch in New York because it's got to be 18, whatever the qualifying is, right?
It's going to be
over that. So for the Angels to go 1 year 20,
I don't get
that's
that.
a gamble.
I don't get that one.
Well, I think that people generally would say there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract. There's a lot of money in the industry this offseason. A lot of teams need starting pitching. If you're the Angels and you're thinking to yourself, we really haven't maximized Mike Trout during his career. If we get lucky, if Trout, who was injured last year, is healthy, if Rendon comes back healthy from last year, if Ohtani does something similar, are we giving ourselves in a AL West where it looks like the A's are going to take a big step backward? The Astros are losing their starting shortstop probably. Texas is still a couple of years away. We'll see if we should really believe in what Seattle did. Texas, I think the Angels are trying to give themselves a shot. And if you just look at the free agent list and you line up who you think is really talented, it's a risk. Again, I began this by saying Noah Syndergaard's pitched twice, a couple of innings, wasn't throwing his breaking ball for the last 2 years. But he is extraordinarily...
That's what I'm saying. That's a gamble at $20 million.
Well, everything's a gamble, Harold. I mean, we just did Jose Berrios for 7 years. That's a gamble. Eduardo Rodriguez, we were reporting yesterday for 5 years. I mean, he had a heart condition a year ago and didn't pitch in 2020. Everything's a gamble in baseball, especially when it comes to pitching. But I think there's less of a gamble on a one-year contract. They are going to have to give up a draft choice for this. I think it would be their second pick. But I see why the Angels would gamble on a one-year deal on a talented.
And I would say if you're going to gamble on a one-year deal on him, why not a 2 or 3? Seriously, like.
Because I don't think the player wants to do a 2 or 3.
Got it. Okay. All right. This is big, and we'll be talking about this throughout the rest of the day on MLB Network for sure as more information trickles in on a link between Noah Syndergaard and the Angels.